Hello and many thanks for joining us on this edition of the program People, Politics and Power. I am Imonia Marere. It is 3 weeks before the September 21 governorship election in Edo State. Ahead of the polls, political parties have been on the campaign trail, trying very hard to convince voters to pitch tent with their candidates, while deploying various tricks in the books. The Edo governorship election is one of the several off-season elections conducted by the Electoral umpire, the Independent National Electoral Commission, Inec. In the run-up to the exercise, the first of the two slated for this year, the Commission has been very busy putting everything in place for a successful conduct. Also, it seems, on Thursday, the leadership of Inec met with political party leaders at the headquarters here in Abuja, ahead of a planned mock accreditation exercise slated for September 10 in 12 polling stations in 6 local government areas of the state. Inec says the mock exercise is aimed at testing the deployment of the bimodal voter accreditation system and electronic result upload process to the result viewing portal in the selected locations. The Commission has also carried out training workshops for election security personnel, particularly because of the security concerns that have emerged over the course of the campaigns, as well as for media professionals in Edo State. Now, going by INEC statistics, there are 2,629,025 registered voters in the state. A further breakdown shows that 52.1% of these, or 1,370,061, are males, while 47.89%, or 1,258,964, are females. A combination of the youth and the middle-aged registered voters account for about 72.2% of the total number of prospective voters. Now, from the recent continuous voter registration exercise, about 119,206 new voters were added to make up the final figure of 2.6 million. There are 192 wards in the state, and the collection of permanent voters' cards commenced on August 22nd and is expected to end on Sunday, September 8th. INEC says political parties have submitted just about 56% of their polling and collation agents for the election. Yet, this is a critical aspect for the credibility and transparency of the exercise. Are there any innovations being introduced by the electoral body for this election? Are there any lessons learned from the last 3 off-season elections in Bayelsa, Kogi, and Imo states? How really prepared is Inec for a hitch-free conduct of the election? Now, going by past experiences, are there any major security concerns for its staff and for the voters? How much of voter education has been carried out? Well, these are the issues we will be taking a look at on the program today, and I'm joined in the studio by 2 very senior officials of INEC. Dr. Lawrence Bayode is the Acting Director, ICT at INEC. Thank you so much, Dr. Bayode, for joining us.
Thank you for having me, sir.
Also joining us is Mr. Odaro Aise, who is the Deputy Director, Voter Education in INEC. Thank you so much for joining us. Right, we'll go straight into our discussion right after this timeout. Stay with us.
indissoluble and cohesive Nigeria which guarantees equity, fairness, justice and prosperity for its citizens. That is our focus on people, politics and power. It is fresh, insightful, impactful. It's a must-watch. People, politics and power on AIT.
Thank you so much for staying with us. Inec preparations for the Edo State governorship election, which comes up on September 21, just about 3 weeks away from today, is our focus on the program today. And I have with me two very senior officials of Inec who will be filling us in on how much Inec has prepared. Dr. Baude, let's begin this way. Bring us up to speed. What exactly Inec has done up to this stage for a successful conduct of this election. We know that the leadership of Inec has been meeting with various stakeholders in the last couple of weeks. The last being just on Thursday when the Inec chairman and Inec leadership met with leaders of political parties.
Thank you so much one more time for having me. Since the commission released the timetable and schedule of activities for this election, the timetable and the schedule of activities have been followed regimentally by the commission. As we know, out of the 13 activities on that timetable and schedule, 10 of them have been fully implemented, remaining 3. And this was stressed by the chairman of the commission yesterday when the commission met with the stakeholders, I mean the political parties. So the commission is preparing since this timetable was released. And like I said, regimentally, the commission has followed the activities listed on the timetable.
So which are the 3 activities that are left, the 3 major ones that are left?
Publication of notice of poll, that is slated for 7th of September 2024. Last day of campaign by political parties, slated for 19th of September, and the election itself slated for 21st of September 2024.
The second one, that is the one slated for September 19th, is actually an activity that must be put a stop to by the political parties themselves,
yes, themselves
48 hours before the election. Yes. So, Mr. Odaro, let's look at the conduct of the political parties themselves in terms of voter education since they began the campaigns a couple of weeks back.
Okay, well, thank you very much. Now, do you mean voter education broadly or voter education pertaining to the political parties?
To the political parties, yes.
Well, to be honest, I don't think the parties...
I'm sure you would have been monitoring that.
Yes.
Because it's actually their responsibility.
Exactly.
More of their responsibility to educate voters on the elections.
Exactly. I think the parties have been doing their best to each party has been trying to mobilize its own base regarding this election. Inevitably, some parties have been more active than others in this regard. But as you know, our main focus is voter education for the electorate, broadly speaking. We still keep an eye on what the parties are doing, and of course, we engage them. So yes, I think the parties have been vigorous enough in the area of voter education.
And they have stayed within the ambits of the law, of the Inec rules and guidelines?
There have been many allegations, from certain parties regarding other parties, many of which are not substantiated. So I can't say anything definitive about that. But to our knowledge, I think they have. To our knowledge, they have.
Okay, let's talk about what the Commission has done in terms of voter education.
Thank you very much. Well, this is something we do all the time. We have a template for publicity and voter education. It comes from the headquarters. It then cascades down to the state offices, and from there to the local government area office, the LG offices. So we have personnel at every level undertaking voter education. We also have what we call voter education providers for each state. These are CSOs, and we've engaged them very actively, and so they're also helping us to propagate the message, the voter education message, broadly, which we have. We also interface with other agencies like the NOA and so on, regarding voter education. So it's been very vigorous. We have jingles and messages. We have information which we send to state offices, and then they sort of indigenize them as it's deemed fit. So in Edo State specifically, for instance, our jingles have been translated into 3 languages. The Benin language for the south, the Eastern language for the central zone. And because the north is so multilingual, we chose to use Pidgin English for that. Because, there's, it's a very polyglot, and we have so many languages in the Afemai part of Edo State. But just to keep it simple, voter education for this election, and indeed for that of Ondo election, the Ondo State, which will come up later, has been very, very vigorous.
Have you been able to measure the impact so far?
I suppose one way of sort of gauging this impact will be maybe voter turnout, on election day. Of course, we have mechanisms too by which we try to sort of, evaluate the impact. So that's still ongoing. We're still doing that.
Now we'll come back to how that is likely to impact on voter turnout, one, and how it will also going to impact on the voters knowing what to do on election day. Because these are 2 things that are very critical to the success of the election. Because if we go back and look at what happened in 2020, I mean, we had about 2.2 or thereabout registered voters, and only about 557 or so voters, 1,000 voters turned out. We will try and gauge that when we talk about this. But Dr. Baude, let's look at the conduct of the continuous voter registration exercise. From the figures that I have, it appeared that about 119,000 or so voters, prospective voters, registered, which has brought the entire figure to about 2.6 million now.
Very correct.
Was it just new voters, or did we have, for instance, situations where people transferred their voters' cards from one place to the other, either from outside the state or from within the state, from one polling station or from one constituency to the other?
Thank you so much. The 119,206 are just for the fresh voters. We have about 8,847 voters that transferred into Edo State, and we also had quite a number of voters that transferred their registration from one polling unit to another. I think we have up to more than 50,000 of such people. Those who transfer from one polling unit to another, one RA to another, or one LGA to another, just within the state. This register already registered in the state, but now they moved their registration from one polling unit to another, while we have those that moved their registration from outside the state into Edo State. And like I said, we have 8,847 of such voters, and we are printing PVCs for all this category of voters. Those who are registered newly, those who moved from other state into Edo State, and those who moved from previous polling unit to a new polling unit. In total, the Commission is printing more than 184 permanent voters card. And just like the chairman said yesterday, for the very first time out of this 184, the Commission already issued more than 125,000 of this PVC. That's one of the new things that, yes, we've done this before, but there's a lot of improvement. In this time around, how the PVCs were sorted, they were sorted to last mile, so that it will be very easy for those issuing the card to locate the card of any voter before it is issued. So this is one of the things that the Commission is doing this time around.
In the past, we also had situations where registered voters wanted to alter one or two information in their voter registration, with their biodata and all of that.
All this
do we have that?
Yes,
This time around?
We refer to that as maybe update of their biodata and or review.
So that is allowed?
Yes, that is allowed during the. It was allowed during the CVR.
Okay.
Yes, it was allowed during the CVR.
And I know, for instance, that since on the 22nd of this month, collection of PVCs has been on, at least from the ward level.
Yes. How many of such PVCs have been collected? Like I said earlier, we've collected out of the 185 PVC, more than 184,000 PVCs printed. We've issued more than 125,000.
Yeah.
That's above 65% of the PVC printed for Edo State. The issuance now has been moved to the local government now, because we were at the ward level for 5 days. Now we have moved the issuance of the PVC to the local government. And yesterday, the chairman of the commission, being impressed by what the political parties did by motivating the voters to go pick up those PVC, also told the political party to also motivate those who have not picked up their PVC to also go to the local government to pick up their permanent voters card.
So how many polling stations are there in Edo State? Does that equate with the number of wards, for instance?
Yeah, we have 4,519 polling units.
4,000?
519 polling units in Edo State. We have 192 wards, 18 local government. Yeah, so that is the delimitation data for Edo State. Yeah.
And all the 192 wards were active or participated in the continuous voter exercise?
Yes, yes.
So these number of 119 206 come from all the 192 wards across the 18 local governments of the state.
Yes.
Okay, that looks impressive. All of that put together will now give us the 2.6 million voters.
Yes.
That are now okay. Well, so let's look at those who applied for prospective voters who applied for replacement of voters' cards. Some people may have lost or misplaced their voters' cards. Are they part of this 185 or 184 438 that we're talking about?
Everyone who asks for replacement, they're part of this 184, because it's all inclusive process during the voter continuous continuous voter registration.
Okay.
If you have lost your PVC before then, you can apply on the portal to ask for replacement. If you are updating your information, you can do that on the portal. If you are reviewing your information, you can also do that on the portal. Like I said, there are some who also transferred from one polling unit to another. When you look at the figure, 119,206, like I said earlier, these are for the fresh registration. So the remaining are for those who have transferred, for those who also transferred into Edo, for those who voters who have asked for replacement, and for voters who perhaps did update or review of their information.
So when you say, for instance, that the application for replacement or for transfer has to be done on the portal. What about people, uneducated prospective voters who may not have access?
They go to our office to do that.
Okay, so they had the opportunity of physically going to
the office to do that, yes.
So it was not limited to just the electronic process.
No. They go to the office, and that's why during the CVR we had 192 centers where they can go to do that.
Representing the 192 wards?
Wards, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So there were people on ground to guide them on what to do and
yes.
How to go about it and
yes.
all of that.
Yes.
Okay. So hopefully that should also impact on voter turnout on election day and correctly voting on election day to avoid the number of voided votes that would... because in 2020, the turnout of voters was just about 24.2%. Out of about 2.2 million, only about 557 or so thousand people came out. That was less than a quarter of the number of registered voters.
Okay, yes.
And the number of voided votes in that year was about 2.3% of the total number of votes.
Yes.
Well over 12, almost 13,000 voided votes, yes. Which is why I was asking about the voter education process this year, yes, and how far you think it will go in, one, bringing out the voters and getting them to vote in the appropriate manner.
Thank you very much. First of all, well, voter education, like I said before, has been extensive and vigorous. The proportion of voided votes is, for the last election was quite small. I know the turnout was low, but the proportion of voided votes was quite small. It wasn't too significant. Also, we have, well, there's some media consultants who are helping us to sort of estimate or gauge the effects, the impact of voter education. And in due course, we'll get some feedback from them, and we'll know how effective it's been so far. Also, due to technology, I don't think the voters' initiative matters too much these days when it comes to voting because of beavers. So long as the voter appears at the polling unit, I think his vote will count. As you mentioned before, the proportion of voided votes quite small. Quite small.
13,000 is a lot. It could swing an election in any direction.
Yeah, but in big picture terms, look at the big picture, the percentage I think is quite low. But we'll go. We're already going the extra mile for this particular election. Thankfully, it's an off-cycle election. It's a standalone election. Like last year, we had 3 governorship elections on the same day. So anyway, without going into too much detail,
we want you to go into that detail so that our viewers and even voters in Edo State can get some information, some education.
Some education, yes.
Yes.
No. When I say detail, I refer to the methodology, which informs our voter education. But the electorate, I think, already knows virtually everything it needs to know about the election. And we're looking at Edo State now. And I think the Edo State electorate has been properly sensitized and enlightened regarding this election. Remember, we have a state office there. We've got the rec, we've got our voter education department there. And the whole thing cascades all the way down to the LGA level, like I said. So I think voters, the electorate in Edo State is properly informed regarding the election.
And one of the possible reasons for the continuous voter education, voter registration exercise is to bring in or capture people who have become of age to vote.
Yes.
I'm just wondering whether or not you've been able to do some monitoring to know how many of such people amongst the 119,206.
The new registrants.
Yes.
Well, again, if we look at it broadly, the young people, if you look at the cumulative figures for both Edo and Ondo states, the youths amounted to almost 70% of that figure, of the over 260,000 new registrants. That would indicate quite clearly that of that figure, many of them are new people who just attained the age of 18, who just sort of hit the threshold for registration. And again, talking about voter turnout, let me just, I just recall now, you know, the register itself will be updated. And so many people who are deceased will have their names expunged from the register. And when that is done, you might find out that the turnout is not quite as low as it might appear to be. Again, because the register might shrink after all of that is done.
Yes,
So,
but I mean, even with that, I mean, 24.2% in 2020 was quite low.
it was quite
And
low.
I'm just wondering what extraordinary, whether or not the Inec is going the extra mile this time, in collaboration with the political parties, of course, to get more people out. I mean, if you have 2.6 registered voters in the state and less than 1/4 of that are coming out to vote.
Yes.
It doesn't sound impressive.
Yes. Yes. Well, like I said, our efforts have been very extensive. The electorate has been sensitized, voting procedure, everything. We've done jingles, we've used radio, TV, we've used mobile telephony, we've used the social media. I think if you went to Edo State, that will, what I'm saying will be clearly exemplified. You see it there. So I think the Edo electorate has been properly sensitized regarding this election.
We hope so. By the 22nd or 23rd of September,
yes.
we'll be getting those figures out.
Yes. I think the figures will attest to this fact come election day.
I know that you have also been very busy, engaged in all manners of workshops for different groups, for different stakeholders in the state, the media,
yes.
security,
yes.
Even election observers and
yes.
all of that. Tell us more about that, how far you've gone with that, and how that is contributing to the voter education process.
Thank you very much. Like I mentioned before, we have what we call voter education providers. And we've undertaken some capacity building events for them, at least to sort of dispose them in the right direction regarding voter education. For security, like you mentioned, well, there's a committee called the ICCES. I'm sure you probably know about it. That's the Interagency Consultative Committee on Election Security. We meet with them regularly, both at the federal level and at the state level. And of course, all the major security agencies are members of this committee. So again, they know what to do security-wise. Obviously, there's the details we can't divulge to the public, but security arrangements are fully in place. And then, of course, the CSOs, we also interface with them actively and routinely regarding, again, sensitizing the electorate. And also, we also engage in, events which are aimed at, dissuading people from engaging in electoral misconduct. So we try, again, to reduce the levels of electoral, malfeasance, what they call vote buying, et cetera, violence, disruptiveness. So it's been holistic. We've gone everywhere regarding all of this.
Have there been any major security concerns in the run-up to this election? Of course, we hear and read about certain developments, certain incidents in the state, some of which have resulted in fatalities here and there. But for Inec, I mean, Inec has been engaging with the interagency security outfits in the state.
Yes.
Are there any major security concerns, say, pre-election, during the election, and possibly post-election?
Yes. There have been some incidents which are a basis for concern, and every state has its hotspots and all that. Well, the security agencies are very well aware of all of this. So we'll do, everything is being done to foreclose, violence and disruptiveness on election day. I think no stone has been left unturned. All of the security agencies are there. They know what's going on, and they've got intelligence regarding all of this. So whatever needs to be done will be done. No doubt, there's, like I said, there's a basis for concern security-wise in Edo State. But I think everything has been taken care of. And again, one can't divulge sensitive information to the public. But, all it's been taken care of.
Dr. Bahade, let's
Yes,
look
sir.
at the planned mock accreditation exercise that is scheduled for September the 10th.
10th, yeah.
Yes. I know that 12 polling units have been earmarked for that exercise across
these three senatorial districts
zones
and six
LGAs.
LGAs.
What do you think informed the choice of that mock exercise? Well, I mean, the decision to hold that mock exercise and the choice of the particular polling stations?
I think this is not the first time the Commission is holding a mock exercise in any off-cycle election. I think the essence of the mock exercise is to test the performance, the functionality of the system that will be deployed on a day to support, one, the accreditation process, and also to support the results upload process to the Inec result viewing portal. So the Commission wants to check and test the performance and the functionality of this system, particularly the accreditation process and the results upload process. And like I said, this is not the first time. And each time the Commission is a learning commission. And what the Commission does is to learn from previous election to improve future election. So we check on that day if the systems are ready for the 21st September governorship election. Yes, the Commission, we have done our best. As we speak for the very first time, and the systems are ready. We've installed and configured more than 4,600 devices for the election, even though I know we have 4,519 polling units, but there are some polling units with more voters. So if with such polling units, we deploy more devices to such polling units. So in all, we have more than 4,600 machines that will be deployed on the day of election. So, and the choice of those locations, just like I said, it's in the whole 3 senatorial districts, 2 LGAs from each of the senatorial districts. And,
is that large enough, a sample, for instance, for you to determine whether or not
this is
because you have 3 senatorial zones,
yeah, we know what we are looking
18
for.
local governments, 2.6 million expected voters.
Yeah, we know what we are looking for. It's a system. It's a system that with that small sample, you're able to achieve whatever you want to achieve. If the system can work fine on one device, because it's the same system that is on all the devices. So if the system can work fine on one device, it means that it will work well on all the devices. If the system fails on one device, it means that it will also fail on other devices. So for the Commission, the 12 location is okay for us to achieve what we want to achieve. The simulation of end-to-end testing has been done remotely. That you need, and that's when you are testing the performance of people uploading results to the portal,
viewing portal.
to the viewing portal.
Okay.
Now, what we have done at the back end is to simulate more than because you can't have more than 4,519 people to upload at the same time. What we have done at the back end is to simulate more than 5,000 persons uploading results at the same time, and the system performed well. We have done that remotely, but what we are doing now is we want to check if the system configured on the machine will work fine on the day of election.
That is going to, the mock exercise will happen on the 10th of
on
September.
The 10th of September.
Just 10 days before the. Do you
Exactly.
think it's enough time to make any adjustments if there are any hiccups or failures in the system?
Like I said, we have carried out all the tests that we need to carry out. Again, what we are doing with the monk is just for us to ascertain that, because sometimes when you do anything in the lab and you go to the field itself, so we are going to the environment in Edo, and that's why all those places were chosen. You are going to the 3 senatorial districts, 6 LGAs, and 12 polling units in all the senatorial districts. So we are checking this equipment in that environment.
Yes, well, I asked that question, Dr. Bayode, because in the past, you have done such tests.
Yes.
You have carried out such mock exercises, and on election day, even after all the tests, there are 1 or 2 places where there have been hiccups.
Yeah.
We saw, especially with your ad hoc staff, who may not completely understand the system, in spite of the fact that you have done training and calibrated all your systems and all of that.
Yeah, that's what the commission is doing differently now. The hiccups that you see on the day of election is not with the system; it's with the manpower.
The human factor.
The human factor.
Yes.
Again, when you are looking at the system, you can. There are 3 things that makes up a system. You talk about the technology, you talk about the people, you talk about the process, and all these 3 must be in sync for you to get a better result. So if the person now, which is the human, who the commission train, and on the election day that person is not performed, everything still rub on the system. So what the commission is doing differently now is to ensure that the ad hoc staff that will be deployed, because we train them, we have the training department that conducts the training of the ad hoc staff, and this training, I think they have 3 days. But what that department is doing now is to ensure that these ad hoc staff that have been recruited, I think the portal for their recruitment was, I think that exercise closed last Tuesday. So what that department is trying to do is to send out a link where they can go to train themselves, to see how the technology runs, to see what these 2 technology, the accreditation and the HREP. There's a video, they see how it works. So that by the time they get to the physical training, few days to the election, they will have gotten enough information that will help them to also simulate whatever they will be taught during the physical training. So this the commission is doing differently, and so that because we learn from experience, just like you said, people are trained and they get to the field, they are nervous. By the time you see the system over and over again, then I think the confidence will be built before the day of the election. So for this election, we are hoping that our ad hoc staff will perform well than what we have seen in past election. Why? Because we have learned from previous election. I want to improve on this election, and that's why we are taking training of this ad hoc staff. We've been taking training seriously, but what we are doing differently now is to let them. It's like 3 weeks to the election. I think by sometime next week they'll begin to see those videos on our e-school portal or our virtual election training system, where they can go and see the video of how the beavers is used to do accreditation, and where they also see how the beavers is used to upload result to the HREP. No. So all this they will see before they go for the physical training.
Now, talking of the upload of results with the beavers machine to the result viewing portal. You know, you recall that in 2023, that was one of the major criticisms of the 2023 presidential and other elections. There were glitches here and there that seem to have thrown a lot of doubt about the authenticity, the credibility, and the transparency of that exercise. What is the commission doing differently this time to avoid such a situation?
Yeah, the first thing I would say was that in 2023, I think people misunderstood the commission. When the commission started talking about the high rev, people misunderstood the commission that the high rev is a collation system. There's difference between a collation system and what the high rev is doing. The high rev just display, and the commission is doing that for transparency, because before now, results from the polling unit, by the time the result gets to the RA collation center, from the polling unit to the RA collation center, something before now, that result is mutilated, or the result is snatched, or the result is not there. But what the commission is doing with the high rev is to bring in transparency, that from the polling unit, after the election, it is announced at the polling unit, and all the agents sign the result. The next thing for the polling presiding officer to do is to take the photo of that result sheet and send to the high rev if we have network in that location.
That's another aspect of it. We'll come back to it.
If we have network in that location. Now, there and then, the result is uploaded to the high rev, to the viewing portal. And anyone, even whether you are in that polling or not, you can go to the high rev and check that result, so that you can begin to follow up what is happening. And but people misunderstood that for a collation center, and the commission after then came out and in many fora to tell the electorate that the IREV is not a collation system. The IREV is just a system that display the form EC8A, that's the result at the polling unit level, that has been used to announce the score of each political party at that level. So the glitch of a thing, the report that the 2023 general election report, I saw the report, and I know that the commission has tried as much as possible to explain what that glitch was at that time. But again, it's a thing of the past, and we have learned a lesson from that, and the commission is moving forward, and that is the reason why we are doing everything that we are doing, testing, and even the mock exercise is like you are also testing yes, we have done QA, but okay, let's go to the field. We have done QA in the lab. Let's go to the field and see what will happen on the field. So where there is no network, the system is designed. Wherever there is no network, it takes the result offline, and as soon as you move away from that location, on your way to the RA collation center, if there is network before you get there, then the result push automatically. As long as you are able to snap that from EC80 with the beavers. If there is network at the polling unit, it pushes. If there is no network, as you move away from that location, on your way to the array, if there's network on your way before you get to the array, it pushes it automatically.
There are definitely some communities, some polling units, some wards in Edo State, as in many other states, that have had to reach communities when network may be poor or may not even exist. Are such units or such wards included in this mock exercise in order to see, for instance, what will happen exactly on election day?
Yeah, that is what we have asked because those locations were chosen by those on ground at the state. So they know the terrain. We have asked them, just look at all the scenarios that you just narrated and pick from such locations, because these are the things that we want to see on the day. For example, if we pick locations that all the location has network, how do we test if we don't have network on the government? So part of these 12 locations, there are some without network. So we want to see when you upload from the polling unit, as you move away from that polling unit before you get to the RA collation center, what happens? The system is designed to automatically upload. So we want to see that also happens on the day of election.
Mr. Odaro, you know, collation of results is always very contentious, which is why Inec has introduced some of these modifications, some of this technology in doing this. We do know, and everyone who's followed the electoral process in Nigeria knows that whether or not a party agent signs a result sheet, it does not invalidate it. But in spite of that, Inec has always insisted that parties must have agents at the polling units and at the collation centers. But the chairman was complaining a few days ago about the fact that only about 56% or so of agents have been submitted by the political parties.
Yes, yes, yes.
How is INEC going to deal with this, or rather, how is this likely to impact the conduct of the elections if parties are not responding to what ordinarily should be in their interest?
Thank you very much. Well, you know, one can't speak for the parties. So the parties who haven't submitted names of their agents, they probably have their reasons. It could be that they're less enthusiastic about the elections, but one can really speak for them. But we expect them to do this, to sort of foster at least a sense of credibility, you know, with respect to the elections. And we hope that at length all of them will do so. But we can't speak for them. They know what to do. It makes the whole thing advantageous to the parties themselves, for the agents to be there. So, well, again, you know, one can't really speak for them. But we hope that this is done, you know, early enough.
But hopefully, the ad hoc staff themselves have been properly schooled and trained to understand the system and to also, in their own way, give credibility to the exercise in their various polling units, because that is where it all begins.
The ad hoc personnel have been very well trained, and we hope there will be no incidents of, you know, misconduct on the part of the misconduct or ineptitude on the part of the ad hoc staff, but they've been well trained.
Like we saw in one or two places in Kogi and even Bayelsa and Imo in the last off-season elections.
Yes.
We did see situations where ad hoc, INEC ad hoc staff were compromised in one way or the other.
Yes.
Are we doing everything, or is INEC doing everything possible to avoid such embarrassment this time around in both the Edo and Ondo elections?
Yes.
Because, I mean, these elections appear to be high-stakes elections.
Yes. Well, yes, the Commission is doing its best to foreclose this kind of thing. All of the indoctrination has been sort of undertaken regarding the ad hoc staff. The training itself has been done very, very thoroughly. And we hope we won't encounter anything of this sort in the next election. We hope so. We hope so.
So, Dr. Bayodi, one last word from you. What should Edolites and Nigerians be looking forward to on election day and after?
Like I said earlier, the Commission is a learning organization, and we have learned from previous election to improve the election that will be conducted in Edo and in Ondo. The Commission is doing its best to, because we want to say each election, it's the best ever. I know after Edo comes Ondo, and after Ondo comes other election. But for now, we want to conduct the best election ever in this country, in Edo. When we get to Ondo, we want to surpass what we have done in Edo, and in future election, we keep surpassing what we have done in previous election. So that's a commission for you. And the Edolites should expect they should expect a good election. The commission is doing everything, and that's why the chairman will be visiting Edo sometimes before the election to ascertain that everything is intact, and that's why the mock election, every department in the commission, our hands are on deck. And I want to say again that Nigerians and the Edolites, most especially, should expect a wonderful and
how
good
many
election.
recs and how many national commissioners are likely to be posted to Edo for this exercise?
Yeah, this is a policy decision. It depends on what the commission wants. They want to do something differently this time around, and it's okay because we want to conduct a wonderful election. Let's push more of these people to this place. Again, we have done our best, and we are praying that God bless our efforts.
Thank you so much. Dr. Lawrence Bayode is Acting Director, ICT at the Independent National Electoral Commission, Inec. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so
and
much
Mr.
for having me.
Odaru Aisen is the Deputy Director of Voter Education in Inec. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much.
And giving us all this information. We look forward to having some more time. Hopefully, maybe just before the elections, we could come back here after the mock exercise and take a second look at what may happen on September the 10th. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Right, that's our program for today. Thank you for investing your time with us. Please join us again when we bring you a fresh edition of People, Politics, and Power. Bye for now.